I think it's actually for the food. This is getting borderline rude,
yes,
Amy
I
Hinton.
know. We're getting to Amy in just a moment. I mean, I can smell it already.
The cooking mom is here. Every time she's here, it's like, hello. I can't even focus on anything. Okay, you had a question for me earlier, and I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, before we get to our next guest, I mean, I was born in 1984, but I consider myself a child of the 90s because, you know, that's kind of when I came of age, like Jeff and I were talking about. You were born in 1990, but you also consider yourself a child of the 90s instead of the early aughts. I'm trying to figure out if there's a cutoff or if there's, like, where do we, you know, what's the...
You are cut off. You cannot be a child of the 90s.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, come on. But, I mean, well, what do you remember the most about the 90s?
Okay, so I was born in January of 1990, so I feel like I had a pretty good chunk of time in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like at least half of it.
Do you have to be a certain, like, I had, Jeff, what is the cutoff here? I mean, yeah, he's like, don't look at me.
I mean, like, you know that song, I'm a 90s baby, in my 80s Mercedes. Nope, nobody listens to country music but me.
Yeah, that's true.
Thanks, Addie, I have
okay,
one.
Addie's
Okay, thank you, I have two, I have three. Three of us know this song.
Audience knows? You know that song? I don't know that song.
So that is how I feel.
Okay.
That is how I feel.
Do you? You are a 90s child then.
I am. I mean, I mean, Mary-Kate and Ashley. Jelly sandals. Hair clips that made you look like Princess Leia, the little butterfly clips.
I love how Mary-Kate and Ashley was the first thing that's like, oh, that's what makes you a 90s kid?
That is the 90s. Hello.
I mean,
it takes two, baby.
Wait, I mean,
sing-alongs with Kendall today.
But wait, no, hold on. Were you a Full House viewer though back in the day?
Yes.
You were. Okay.
Yeah.
Mary-Kate.
But like, I think when they'd already been on for a while.
Okay. We'll
because Mary-Kate and Ashley are technically older than me.
Okay. We'll get back to that in a minute. Yeah.
You really think?
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back. Hey, everybody. Sorry. Our next guest is synonymous with the 70s, as in that 70s show. But soon she's jumping ahead to the 90s. The
90s indeed. Debra Jo Rupp is back in the spin-off series, That 90s Show. Take a look at this clip.
Hey, Grandma. Hey, Grandpa. Okay, kids, the basement is all yours.
Lights on, shirts on, and no dancing.
No dancing. You're like the guy from Footloose. No dancing, you guys.
That 90s show hits Netflix next week. And ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Debra Jo Rupp. Debra, thank you so much for joining us. Debra, we got to ask you, I mean, this is obviously a change of pace from the 70s to the 90s, but I would imagine it's still a similar type of feel of the show. What stands out to you about doing that 90s show as opposed to that 70s show?
Well, the biggest difference is, of course, the actors that inhabit the basement. That's a big difference. But much of it is the same. It's just 17 years later, and Point Place is Point Place, and the same people still live in the small town, and you will see them all. And I have to say that this is the first time I've seen this clip, so you got a good clip.
Okay.
Good.
I'm glad.
Not that they're bad clips, but that didn't sound good. That didn't sound good, but you're special.
Thank you. Okay, Debra, I have to say, I loved the character of Kitty. I loved that 70s show, but I didn't grow up in the 70s. However, I still felt like I was in on all the jokes. I still felt like I got the culture. Are people who maybe are in their early 20s now going to feel that way, do you think, about that 90s show that maybe don't remember the 90s?
Yeah, I think they'll feel the same way. They'll feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know, each decade is unique and different, and the 90s had, I mean, for me, in the 90s, it was a lot of technology. Technology was going really quickly, you know. We had those huge honking computers and the cell phones that were as big as your head, and, you know, all of that, and it was moving very fast. So I think people will respond in a very similar way. I mean, it's a period show, so it's, you know, two different decades.
And Debra, we want to get this right. Your character, Kitty's granddaughter, comes and visits for the summer, and that's how, you know, the show kind of kicks off, and that's really the storyline of this whole thing. How was it interacting, like you said, with some of the new actors and being a part of this storyline?
Well, the great thing is that they watch the 70s show because they seem to know who their parents were and, you know, kind of what the relationship was. I do think it's very interesting that Eric and Donna's daughter is named Leia for Princess Leia in Star Wars. So, you know, we deal with that. It was, you know what, it keeps the show alive. The new actors are fantastic, and it keeps it moving forward. 17 years later, everything moves forward, just like life.
Right, absolutely. And you said that all the originals come back. Topher Grace, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, Laura Prepon, Wilmer Valderrama, which, by the way, I love the character that he's playing with this hairstylist. Where do you...
Oh, my God.
Was that
so funny.
I got to imagine that was so fun to just get back with all those guys.
It is so fun. And then Wilmer, oh, my God. Wilmer does a commercial. That you will die from. And then Don Stark, Bob, he sings a song at his daughter's birthday that, oh my, we can't keep a straight face. We can't.
I bet. Well, we cannot wait to see the show. And before we let you go, Deborah, I have to say, as a Seinfeld viewer, I still remember your role as Katie, Jerry's manager on that episode. You were fantastic in it. It was such a great episode. We had a lot of fun watching you on that one as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Debra Jo Rupp, everybody. Thank you, Deborah. And that 90s show hits Netflix next week. I know you are not a Seinfeld viewer, but that episode where she plays Katie, Jerry's manager, where Jerry she was always up in Jerry's business trying to make sure he was always attended to. He's like, relax.
Calm
it's
down.
Okay, yeah. It's give me a little space here. Don't bother me with every little detail. She's terrific in that episode.
I love it. I'm curious too about this. We didn't get time to talk to her, but this is on Netflix instead of daytime TV.
That's right. Yeah,
so it could be a little bit
yeah.
wilder, a little more exciting. Never know.
Absolutely. As children of the 90s, as we established.
Yes,
we're gonna be watching
we are
that show.
both children of the 90s.
That's right.
Game Day Eats with the Cookie Mom coming up next. Everybody, stay around. It's like, can they say naughty words? Is it on Netflix?
Maybe. Well, I mean,